Hey everybody, it's Scotch33 here. Dark Souls 2 first look. A lot of people are making analysis and commentaries, so a lot of them were pissing me off, kind of, because they were saying things that are wrong. So I decided I'd make my own. Thanks IGN for letting me borrow this. It's probably gonna get taken down. Alright, so I just want to take a little pause here, take a quick look at the actual character and some of the stuff on the HUD. The HUD in the bottom left is pretty much the same as in Dark Souls 2, except you can see what items you're going to be switching to. You can see the durability. It's a little red bar under there, and it looks like the spells are still there, but they're not. There aren't any spells that are used. So I can't really speculate on that yet. Probably the biggest thing that's been annoying me about people's analysis who claim they love Dark Souls or they love Demon Souls and they played them, they love the Souls games, is how they say, oh, well, look at this character. He's in the trailer and he's in all the trailers and it's this guy. Does that mean we don't get customization? No. No. Shut up. Why? This has been the case with Demon Souls and Dark Souls. They have one guy that they use to show off a lot of things in the game. In Demon Souls, it was the fluted knight. They had him in the opening gameplay thing, and they use him to show off the game. That's what it is. And in Dark Souls, it was the elite knight. He was the character that portrayed the hero until you made your own. This is the same thing. I don't understand why this is some sort of thing to speculate. Of course you're going to be able to. If they took that out, that'd just be unbelievably dumb. And I don't think they're that stupid. That'd be unbelievably dumb. So health, stamina, pretty much the same thing as always. And then obviously everyone's speculating about what happened to humanity and what's that small calendar, or it's some sort of celestial symbol there. I can't speak to it. I have no idea. I could take a guess and say that it's some sort of, we know time travel is going to be a thing in this game. Maybe it has something to do with that. Could just be a day-night cycle. It could be something completely different, some new mechanic in the game that we don't even know. So there's really no point even speculating about what it could be. Alright, let's see what we got here. So they obviously improved the graphics a lot. That's one thing they said they were going to do. You can see there was some nice like god rays that came through there. Little particles floating around, the wind's blowing his cape, some grass. You know, it looks nice. You know, it's not the biggest concern I had about this game was you know, what the graphics were gonna look like, but good enough. I was impressed with this part here. The lighting the bonfire, that was cool. So bonfire is still in the game. Presumably going to do the same thing. That's where he's gonna respawn and stuff. He doesn't sit down at it, so we can't see if there's anything new. No point in, you know, guessing what it could be or how different it could be. And then we see some combat here. Very much still the same, which is good. Definitely not a bad thing at all. He does a roll here into an R1, so it looks like pretty much all the same basic moves are going to be in the game. Now he starts dual wielding here. That's pretty cool. Hopefully, you know, dual wielding's a bit more I don't know, like useful in these games. They were in both the other ones, but they weren't very good. And then he's gonna look down here, and we're gonna take another look at what's down there. So just a few quick things about the combat there. If you notice, he killed them all. He killed both those guys pretty easily, and he took like no damage to the health. This is another thing that was just annoying me about a lot of things that people were saying. Like, oh, well, look, he killed him really easy, and he didn't take a lot of damage. This is a demo. Do you understand that? Like, this is them showing things off. This could be how it is in the actual game, but if I had to hazard a guess, I'd have to say that he has good armor because the Elite Knight set's pretty good. I'm gonna assume this one's gonna be pretty decent as well. He has good armor. He's got a lot of like stamina. He's got some health there. If obviously I don't know if it's gonna be the same as Dark Souls, but they were just showing it off. They're just showing off mechanics. I wouldn't even like try. I'm not gonna assume that any of the damage that he does or is done to him is gonna be what it's like in the actual game, just because it's just a demo. Anyway, moving on. As we're looking down here, we can see they were described as like lizard salamander creatures in a big pit with fire and shooting out of it, and it looks very scary. But if you look, you can see at least 3 items there, and this is something that I quite enjoy. That's a staple of Demon Souls and Dark Souls. There's a very, very dangerous place you could go to for items and things like that. You don't have to, but if you want to risk it, you get a reward if you finish it. So that's always good in games. Risk reward, nice balance there, and the Souls games really, they have that in spades. It's really good. So let's see, what else do we got? I mean, the other part of the HUD, maybe people are wondering, is the soul counter at the bottom. Still the same thing. Wouldn't really guess they'd change much about that. It's your experience basically. Probably still gonna be like your form of currency. Alright, there's a little trap there. That guy, he just looked dead and then he got up. Just not the most original, trap. It's happened in other games, other Souls games too, but it'll catch a few new people off guard. And now we get introduced into the new mechanic in the game here. You can light a torch and it'll light up dark areas. Now that's interesting, because that torch doesn't look as shit as the skull lantern. Oh, I like this part here. Look, he hits the dog and then the dog's body breaks the barrel there. Now this is the first like real fight, and right there, we'll stop there for a second. That roll, those 2 rolls he did, there's something very, very interesting there that probably only people who are familiar with the Souls game will notice. He's locked onto a target and he did 2 rolls. Now when he did the 2 rolls consecutively, he didn't spin around the enemy. He didn't. That's something. If you play Dark Souls or Demon Souls, you know what I mean. He didn't circle around them when he rolled. He rolled the same direction 2 times. So now he's farther away from the enemy where he would have been if it was in Dark Souls. He would have been pretty much behind him right now. But instead he's kind of across the room, as you notice. Plus, while we're just looking at this, him smashing all this stuff is pretty cool. Now here's one thing I'm happy about. He goes in for the backstab. Everyone talks about this one, and then he gets crushed. Now, that's good, so all enemies in the game aren't just gonna be like a backstab, like a fuckfest. And that charging attack that he did there, well, we'll stop again just to talk about that. That is something that I find interesting that no one that I've listened to has really touched on it, but when I look at that, it seems like it's too much for a like it's not a regular thing that's happened in other Souls games, because he kept walking towards him until he hit him, and he actually did hit him, but he blocked it and it took all of his stamina. Now, I don't think either one of them does that attack again, but what I'm speculating or hoping for is that attack, they actually won't just smash down their mace after they take like 2 steps. So it's like a It's like an attack that's programmed in the game. They take 2 steps, then smash down, 2 steps, smash down. I'd like to think that maybe they have it so when he starts doing the attack, if the character's backing up, they keep walking forward with their mace up until they're within range, and then they smash it down. That would be something that would be really cool in the game. And then this guy just makes a really, really dumb mistake. Don't do this in a Souls game. If you start getting shit slapped by a mob, don't run forward into more mobs. Go backwards to where you know there's none. And he gets ass blasted and dies. So he respawns at the bonfire, as you would assume, and we're going to try a different route this time. I'm not sure if this has any real bearing on the game or anything. It could just be the demo. Again, I'm kind of assuming it is, but those 2 guys that he fought originally didn't come back. So if you know, they didn't respawn, which is something that would usually happen after you died or rested at a bonfire. Just killing more of these little dog things that are pretty easy. Shields up all the time. That's what you want to do when you don't know where the hell you are in a Souls game. Yeah, this part. This is interesting. So the fog gate's still there in every other game. Every other Souls game they're there. Alright, so this creature was described as a troll. Looks more like a dwarf to me, especially with the battle axes. But here we go, and toss the weapon and deflected. Okay, cool. And he's dead. Alright, so we're gonna take a quick look at that. Now, for some reason, I will never understand this, people are actually complaining about that, saying, oh, I don't know, you could block projectiles with your sword or your weapon, I don't know. Why would that ever be a bad thing? Now, first of all, I don't recall Demon Souls, but in Dark Souls, the same thing is basically there. You can parry projectiles. You can deflect them. If you time it correctly, when an arrow shot at you, you can just block it and it'll just fly away. Now you can do it with your weapon too. That's fine. For some reason, people are saying it's not a good thing to add. Why not? You have to know the timing of the projectile that's coming towards you. You have to know when it's going to hit you, and then you have to know when you have to parry it with whatever weapon you choose. You have to be familiar with the weapon. So you need to know the timing of all these things, and then you have to use your skill at the game to do it correctly. And then if you don't, it's not a shield, so you're not blind. It's going to hit you like it did that guy. He mistimed it, and he died instantly. So I don't understand where people are coming from. Maybe they could try to elaborate on it. They're just saying, oh, I don't know if it's a good mechanic. It seems like a great mechanic to me. You can block things if you're good enough. You can accomplish things other people can't if you're good enough. That's part of the Souls games. That's just part of it. So we're going to move on. He died, and this is the location that they're tentatively calling the Mansion of the Dragons. To the right, we can see a large dead dragon skeleton, which is interesting. This is the first time we've seen, in gameplay at least, a dragon skeleton. There's 2 undead dragons in Dark Souls, and I find this part interesting because see the dragon actually starts moving, and it's going to attack the player. Now the reason I find this interesting is because in Dark Souls there's undead dragons, so clearly death is something that isn't the same for dragons, because you think, okay, undead dragon, its corpse is reanimated, but this was a skeleton of it. It doesn't have any muscles or anything like that. So how did that come back? That's one question that pretty much raises for me. Is do dragons, can they actually die? I mean, they were immortal, but you know, with all the stuff with Gwyn removing the scales and stuff, can they really die though? any dragon that you walk into in Dark Souls, it comes back to life as soon as you get near it. And then even the skeleton of it came back. Well, anyway, moving on. This is the next mechanic of the game. This one I actually quite like. You have these magic stones, and then there's these faces that you can put the stones in. Now, apparently there's a limited number of these magic stones, but there's more of those than there are stones. More places to put them than stones. And they give you special bonuses in the level, basically. Like, this hallway was completely black, and he put the stone in, and it turned the lights on. If he didn't do that, he'd have to go find a torch, and he'd have to walk through with no shield holding his torch. So it gives him a special, it gives him an advantage here. The thing the thing I find interesting about it is if he didn't put it in, he'd have it for the next one, and I wonder what the next one would have been. Yeah, a better bonus, like you get through this, and then you get a better bonus next time. That's kind of seems to be what they're aiming for, and I quite like that. More choices in the game is always good. It seems running theme here. Another interesting part of the gameplay. He's gonna take out his bow and pop this weird thing in the face. Now, as you can see, the thing's trying to smash out of its cage here, and it does. And I'm gonna stop it there for a second while they're fighting, because that's interesting, and I'm not going to get my hopes up too high for it, but it provides an interesting idea of what if it can smash through any wall. So it's clearly smashed out of there, and the developers knew it would be in there, so maybe they just made it so it can smash down that wall if you attack it, and that's it. What I'd like to think what would be really cool is, let's say the character ran into one of the other cells to try to hide from it. It's clearly too big to fit in there. Would it be able to smash down the door to that cell and come at you? If he ran through a smaller door to continue on with the level, it'd smash it down and chase you. Hopefully that's what happens, because that would be really cool. And again, it would bring that whole choice thing in. Maybe there's an item in this creature's cell, or maybe this thing drops, a rare item or something. Do you want to risk it, or do you just continue on and just ignore it? Because it looked like it was just going to sit there if you kept going. And another thing, we can talk about the actual creature. When I first saw it, I thought it was kind of like a rat or something, like a huge, cyclops rat. But if you pay attention closely during the fight, you can see it's got scales on it. It's got kind of like a scaly tail. So they said this is a place where experiments were done on dragons. Who knows what this thing is? It's clearly some sort of reptile. I don't know what it could be, but it's probably related to the experiments done on dragons and things like that. So we'll continue watching this fight here. He retakes out his bow and shows off a new little mechanic where you can move around slowly while using your bow and arrow. That wasn't in either of the Souls games, and it's a good addition there. Definitely makes playing with a bow and arrow more viable. See, that's a good spot to see the scales and stuff, and there you go, he kills it. That's a cool sword, by the way. So this is the castle of the dragons, which is interesting because these things flying around here aren't dragons. They're how do you pronounce it? Wyverns. Now you can tell this because dragons have. All right, we'll pause it right there because that's a pretty good spot to see. Dragons have 4 legs and 2 wings. Wyverns have 2 legs and they have just wings that they use for claws too, basically. Now that's important because in the Souls games there's a big difference between dragons and wyverns, because dragons were immortal at one point, and there's a lot about dragons in Dark Souls, a lot to just go into, but they're not the same as wyverns. But the castle that they're flying around is very specifically called the Castle of the Dragons. So it kind of brings up interesting, topics as to why they're here. What exactly are they doing? They're not attacking it. It doesn't look like it would more look like they were defending it. But that's interesting. I certainly, as I like to say, it's all speculation. I could try to guess at what they're doing, but there's really no point until we get the actual game. So that's why it's another thing. People saying, these things are like they're set in stone or something. So we'll just continue, and he falls to his death. See, new falling animation, pretty cool. Not that big a deal. I would have been fine with any falling animation. And I believe this is the last part coming up here, which provides just 2 little extra snippets. Oh, nope. One more thing. Okay. This guy coming up is the Silver Chariot. Now, I'm going to pause it right here for 2 reasons. We'll talk about the Silver Chariot guy. From what they've said, if you do quote-unquote bad things in the game, assumably that's killing NPCs, at least, innocent ones, which is something you can always do in the Souls games. You can just kill anybody you meet. It says once you do a certain amount, this guy called the Silver Chariot is going to come and hunt you down. As to whether he's always going to be on this chariot, who knows, because this guy doesn't stand much of a chance against this guy while he's on the chariot. Maybe he'll get off and you can actually fight him. And again, that brings up another more cool mechanics and stuff. Like, if you kill the Silver Chariot, do you get something cool? Do you get his armor? Do you get his weapon? Special magic? Something like that? Is it something that people are going to want to do? Try to get this guy here and then try to kill him? Hopefully he's going to be one, bad motherfucker, so it's not going to be easy. And then another thing is how he's locked onto him right now. Now he's sprinting away from him while locked onto him, which is something you couldn't do in the other games. When you locked onto someone, your character would face them. To get an angle like this, you'd have to be running away from them unlocked on, and you'd have to spin the camera around while you were moving to do it. So that's one thing I feel like a lot of people didn't give enough attention to. He's locked on, you can see the health, he's sprinting away as fast as he can. And we'll continue to see that it's completely pointless because he gets run down like a bitch. You could have dodged that. This is the last part, and it gives two little snippets of things that, just 2 little facts about the game. So we'll just pause it there because this is the last part. And he did an emote, which are in both Souls games, and they're gonna be back, which is awesome. Hopefully they have more of them. Just kind of a fun little thing, fun little part of the game. Not really that big a deal. I wouldn't honestly care if they only had like 3, but it's a cool little thing. And the more interesting part, gameplay wise, is that it looks like Poise is going to be back. If you notice, he gets hit 3 times and is only knocked off his feet on the 3rd one. Now for people who don't know, Poise is basically how much damage you can take before your character stumbles. We'll just call it stumbles, where he got hit twice by those first 2 boars and nothing happened to him. He lost health, but he didn't move. He didn't react to it at all. When he got hit by the 3rd one, that broke his poise and sent him up in the air and off the cliff. They set him up there, but he was just unlucky to be standing near the cliff. And that's interesting because Poise wasn't in Demon Souls, it was in Dark Souls, and it was kind of a controversial addition. Personally, I like it. I don't like being stumbled by everything that hits me. But it's probably going to be back in Dark Souls 2, which is, for me, good news. Hopefully they can rework it so anybody who's upset by poison in Dark Souls will feel a little bit better, about it. But personally, if they don't, I'm totally cool with them just keeping it the same. So that pretty much wraps it up. That was all my thoughts about the gameplay. and just some things I wanted to clear up from other people that I was hearing from. Hopefully, hopefully this helps somebody out, and I'll see you next time.